Hi guys, I just want to take a sec and go over your chapter 6 slides and just take out a couple of things that I thought were really important. So, um, the slides are very self-explanatory. They're easy to get through. You guys should do fine with those. If you have any questions, as always reach out to me. But there are some things I really want to get into depth with you guys on. Now, the first thing is study tools. Now, your slides don't say study tools per se, but you have to be able to apply this stuff as a student to studying. It will make you super successful in understanding how you learn and different ways that you can study that will work for you. So the first thing that the slides talk about that I thought was really great is this idea of what's called chunking, right? And that's when you take information, right? And it says a lot of information, you break it up into chunks and then learn it, right? So, for instance, they give you this huge, long, let me see, 21 letter string of letters that you have to remember in that one, right? And I'll just take the first few, right? So we have P, B, S, F, O, X, C, N, N, A, B, C, C, B, S, right? And it goes on, right? Just like that. And what you end up doing, if you look at it, you can break those things down and you will remember them, right? So let's chunk them. So the first one, the first chunk we're going to take out, PBS. Sound familiar? Let's keep going. FOX or Fox. CNN, ABC, CBS. And it goes on, right? It talks about MTV, NBC, all that, right? But we know what those are. Those are TV networks, right? So those are easy for us to remember rather than remembering that long string of letters, right? So that's one thing we can do with the work that we get in academics, right? Another thing that we do to remember things is rehearse them. And when we're talking about rehearsing, we're not talking about necessarily on a stage or anything like that, but just kind of going over whatever information or whatever is going on, just kind of repeating it, going over it. So if you've ever had to remember a phone number, right? 617, and you just do it over and over and over and over and over again until you remember it. And it's like almost kind of like you flowing with it and you're going with it and you got it, right? Another thing that we do with rehearsal, flashcards. If you study like I study, you use flashcards. And you quiz yourself. That's another way that we rehearse, right? So in my class right now, I'm constantly just drawing out quizzes and taking them, reordering them, taking them. You know, different things like that to help you remember the information you have to remember. Another great tool that we all use and have used are mnemonics. Mnemonics are when we take like maybe the first letter, is almost like an acronym. You take the first letter of every word or whatever, just to help you remember. And you kind of string them together in something that may make sense or doesn't, but you know, something like that. Something you'll remember. So a couple of mnemonics that we know are things like PEMDAS, right? Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, right? You guys know that one? The one in math where you're doing the order of operations. And the P stands for parentheses or grouping symbols. The E stands for exponents. M, multiplication. D, division. A, addition. S, subtraction. Right? And then there's another one that, like, honestly, I don't even know what it is because I learned this in like the 4th grade. And I've never really played an instrument, so I got nothing. But every good boy deserves fudge. That's like the scales or something, right? But it's stuck with me all these years and I don't even know how to use it, right? I know that the scales in some type of way, the notes or something, is E, G, B, D, F, right? So mnemonics work very well. And if you are a science person, if you are a medical person, mnemonics are gonna be your best friend. Another thing that I don't think your slides mention these, but these are really good, and I used to use a lot of this. I still do use a lot of them. Association. When I used to be in high school, you can associate through pairing things. You can also associate something through like some type of experience or something like that that can help with your recall or memory. So with pairing, I used to struggle with my vocabulary words. And what I used to do, and this was in in high school, right? All these new vocabulary words, oh, they're so hard, this, that, and the third. I would associate with them with something I cared about. Like, I used to really like this singing group. And I would take a random word that I learned and associate it with that individual in the singing group. And then all of a sudden, I'm taking the test and I'm like, oh, this word? Oh, I remember exactly what that is, right? You can also have a type of association or recall through experience. So I used to do this with gum, still do it with gum. If I know I have a test to take and I'm studying, I'm gonna chew the same type of gum that I'm gonna chew during the test. Other people will listen to the same songs, right? Or wear the same perfume. So you're using your senses to kind of recall exactly what you were doing when you were studying, and it helps. Another thing is writing things down. And it's weird because like typing doesn't work as well, but when you write out something and sometimes you're not even paying attention to what you're writing, but it's almost kind of like muscle memory almost. So that's something that maybe might be helpful for you guys while studying. And of course, we all know that there are certain things we need to be doing, like eating a good meal and taking frequent breaks. Not too frequent though, right? Procrastinators, yes, us. Sleeping well, and also self-care. You guys know I'm huge on self-care, so self-care is really important. All right, so that wraps that portion up. Now, the other thing I wanted to talk to you guys about is the difference between recognition and recall, okay? Recognition is when you are presented with something that you have already seen and you have to, or you have to actually recognize it. You have to say, maybe you have a list of things and you have to say, oh, this is the one, right? Recall is when you have to dig down deep in your brain and recall that information, right? The information is not presented to you. You have to dig down deep. So I always tell people, I usually give like 2 examples of what recognition and recall is. So recognition would be like if someone was going to identify someone in a police lineup, right? They have a certain number of people, maybe like 6, 8 people, who they can choose from and say, oh, this person did it, this person didn't, right? That person looks familiar, that person doesn't, right? Recognition. Recall, on the other hand, would be describing to a sketch artist, you know those people who draw out what the suspect looks like, right? That right there would be recall, all right? Another thing that would be recognition is when we're taking these quizzes and we're taking these tests and we're in school or whatever, multiple choice. You have 4, maybe 5 items, something, I don't know, in front of you that you can choose from. You're able to recognize and say, okay, I have all these options. I know it's one of these, right? Even if it's all the above, none of the above, A, and C, right? Those type of answers. Able to recognize it. Recall, you have to kind of bring everything up, regurgitate everything on your own. That's like short answer, essay, those type of questions. So, I hope this is helpful. Let me know if you have any questions. Alrighty, bye.